this Saturday afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. I don't know, are you watching the USFL today? Let me see. USFL. Just checking. It might be some background noise for me today. I don't know. I've got a lot of stuff I need to do. Today is date night, of course, with the wife and stuff, so we'll be definitely taking care of that. Tomorrow afternoon, we have Cowboys venting session live stream at 5 o'clock Eastern. And this is now, oh my God, this is now the Dallas Cowboys on the clock here because this is draft week coming up. This is make or break time for the Dallas Cowboys, and who knows where we're going to go. You know, the funny thing about the draft is you don't know what you don't know. You can think that you picked the right players, and some guys end up being bust, and sometimes you can end up drafting guys that you kind of like, meh, and they turn out to be Hall of Famers. You just don't know. You don't really know till a couple of years down the road how good your draft is. But before we get on to other news with the Dallas Cowboys, I want to actually acknowledge my quarterback, Dak Prescott, being up there with the greats of the Dallas Cowboys. Last night, the gala, the Children's Cancer Fund Gala, hosted by Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman, we had Roger Staubach passing the torch to Dak Prescott, and that is an amazing honor. We got a few clips from the event last night, and we'll take a quick peek here.
These are tough times, as we all know, and the world needs more Roger Staubach. So, Roger, thank you for what you've meant to me. Thank you for what you meant to the Children's Cancer Fund, all of the great stuff that he's done, for this cause.
Great event. Great event. Now, while I've got the screen over here, I'm trying to understand something. When I woke up this morning, before I got out of bed, I was, of course, when I wake up, I'm automatically looking and going through everything. Check my Instagram, check my email, check my Twitter, check everything, because you never know when you might get a da-da-dun, da-da-dun.
Damn, Gina.
Update and stuff like that. And, of course, I always like to check on you are listening to nothing but the best. And Law had posted on his Instagram this morning a post from the Game Day NFL. Now, I don't know who the Game Day NFL site is or whatever, but this is the thing that I find mystifying. Down here, over the past 5 years, only one D-back has given up more than 1,000 passing yards in coverage in a single season. Trayvon Diggs. When I saw that, I was like, I don't think it was quite 1,000 yards. I thought it was like under 900. And that's where I saw that at first, and I was kind of like, I think that number's wrong. Law posted, Trayvon Diggs' yards allowed was 856, and actually, Marshawn Lattimore, New Orleans Saints, one of the ones that everybody talks about being one of the best cornerbacks in football, for the 2021 season allowed 870 yards, and not a word or whisper was said about him being overrated. But the thing that's always mystifying to me is if the Cowboys players do something good, it's always discounted, or it's always a reason why it means nothing. Diggs had 11 interceptions, something nobody has done in 25 years. But somehow, a guy who has done something nobody has done in 25 years plus he's considered garbage. I don't know. I mean, have you anybody else noticed this? He got 11 interceptions. 11 interceptions. That's more than every other game. We've had seasons where our team did not get 11 interceptions. I want you to let me stop and I want you to think about this. For many of the last years when we had Byron Joneses and Morris Claibornes and we went out and thought we had great cornerbacks. We did not get 11 interceptions as a team, much less one guy. If Diggs was on any other team than the Dallas Cowboys, they would be all over him about how great he is. But the thing with the talking heads, and this is kind of the Dan.
Can take numbers and skew them any way we want. We often can take numbers and we'll fit them into the narrative that we want to try and paint. And I probably am guilty of this. Can take numbers and skew them any way we want. We often can take numbers and we'll fit them into the narrative that we want to try and paint.
So that's the thing that's always crazy to me is we look at this. And I got a lot of grief on this because, in fact, when I was comparing, and see, this is where it gets to be crazy because when we did the family reunion video the other night with Philly and Cop Pizzle and stuff, and I was comparing rookie seasons of Micah Parsons versus Lawrence Taylor. You're crazy. I said, wait a minute. I'm not comparing what Lawrence Taylor did in a career. I'm not, okay, because it's too soon to do that. I'm saying if you just take the impact that they had on the NFL as a rookie, that's all I'm saying. That one, oh, no, you're crazy. You're crazy. Here it is, Pizzle saying stuff like, well, I've seen Lawrence Taylor literally just take and win games. I was like, you didn't see Micah Parsons against the Washington football team in that game? Where he literally took over the game and just destroyed him? Tyler Heineke? I don't know that Tyler Heineke ever recovered from that. When you talk about a guy who changed the game, where you had to account for him, Micah Parsons already did that as a rookie in the same way that Lawrence Taylor did. Oh, you're crazy. Because I look at that defense. Going into that season, there weren't too many people on that defense that people said, I'd like to have as my starter. Honestly. Before the season started, you looked at, you might say, DeMarcus Lawrence. But most of the people on that starting defense, you did not look at and say, that's a guy I got to have on my team. And this goes back to the whole thing where they say, oh, the Cowboys have so much talent. Going into last season, Micah Parsons was an unknown. Diggs was an okay rookie. DeMarcus Lawrence was an overpaid defensive end. And the rest of the guys, you had Jalen Smith, who was on one leg, and Van Der Esch, who couldn't stay healthy. You had a whole team of basically miscellaneous parts. You didn't have all of this talent that they constantly tell us that the Cowboys have. The Cowboys have so much talent. Are you honestly going to say that we had more talent on that defense than other teams? Than, say, New Orleans? Or, say, the Rams? Or, say, Baltimore? I don't think we did. We had a ragtag group of guys that were out there. And even now, Jaron Kearse played really good. Nobody thought he was going to be anything. Micah Parsons, yeah, everybody would love to have Micah. D-Law missed half the season. But even now, do you honestly look at the Dallas Cowboys defense and say they are loaded with talent and they're head and shoulders above everybody else? No. So when you discount what they do, it doesn't make any sense. Because here's the flip side over here too, and this is the thing that's always happened, is anytime Dak Prescott does anything, it's because he has so much talent. Oh, It does, it was when we were winning, he was just dinking and dunking. He wasn't going down the field. You start throwing down the field, oh, it's garbage time. It doesn't matter. It's empty calories. I'm sitting here, and we literally talk about Dak Prescott is garbage. Mostly Cowboy fans do. But somehow, every statistic out here, okay, quarterback record, excuse me, I'm sorry, completion percentage, fourth with 68.8. Yards, seventh with 4,449 yards. TDs, fifth, fourth, tied with Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. TD percentage, fifth, 62. Interceptions, he's way down the list on that. Yard average, 7.5, 10th. Every statistic out there without a running game for half of the season, with a battered offensive line, he's top 10, but yet the narrative is, oh, he has so much talent out there. Do the Cowboys really have so much talent that we should be head and shoulders above everybody else? I'm not sure that that's really the case. I think our talent is overrated, that we look at this and say, oh, because we still get told that we got the best offensive line in football when Tyron Smith can't make it through a whole season. When we've got an average center at best and Tyler Baddish, our guards, between Connor Williams was a penalty magnet. Lyle Collins missed, almost half the season because of not taking his drug test. But we still get told that we got a great offensive line. I don't think it's a great offensive line. And that we got great running backs. Tony Pollard had some decent games, but he missed a lot of time too. And Zeke Elliott played with a PCL. So I think what happens is the Cowboys, because they're the Dallas Cowboys, automatically are told that we are loaded with talent. But I'm not sure that that's really the case. We're going to end this because, of course, I think the Debo to Dallas thoughts now have kind of died down some. But I want to go to Rich Eisen. I really enjoy Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen is the real deal as far as real sports talk. I have to say Rich is the GOAT.
We're all confused because it seems to be working out so incredibly well for a guy who is an all-pro wide receiver now, for a team that drafted him in the second round and has tailored a lot of their offense to his remarkable skill set to be not just a matchup nightmare, but a business decision when he's either catching it or running it. And so when we get confused, we fill the void in the media. We fill the void, or we're searching for answers, and a lot of answers are coming back from the information community. Like 3 different answers as to what's up, why he's not happy. 3. One of which the Niners can address, and one of which they cannot, and one that kind of leaves a bit of a conundrum that I think the Niners can eventually address. What do I mean by that? Let's start with the one thing that we're hearing about Deebo Samuel wanting out, that the Niners cannot address. They cannot fix it. There is no way that they can fix it. And that's Deebo apparently wanting out because he's from South Carolina and never wanted to play on the West Coast. That's something the Niners aren't going to fix.
Geographically impossible.
That's basically it. They're kind of settled on Northern California. That's a settled issue. That's not changing. They can't. I mean, look, if he's a guy who never wanted to go there and doesn't want to be there,
Homesick a little.
and he wants to be closer to home, wants to be closer to family, wants to be closer to friends, and has the ability to change his scenery. You just saw Devontae Adams change his scenery and Tyreek Hill change his scenery. Maybe he wants to change his scenery. That's something the Niners cannot fix. One thing the Niners can fix, if it's about money. This is about money, that's fixable. They got that. Niners have that. I mean, shoot.
They do.
Their cheer component is known as the Gold Rush. I mean, look, they got They got money. There's gold in them, our San Francisco 49er hills. Is it about money? Maybe so. If this is a business decision, then the Niners eventually can address that. And the fact that this is not addressable right now, I don't know why. You know, Adam Schefter was reporting, and he was one of the folks reporting today that it's maybe a geographical problem. He just doesn't want to play out in San Francisco. Adam reported the day before Darlington connected with Deebo Samuel that the Niners would pay him yesterday, would pay him today, would pay him tomorrow. It's Deebo is holding him off. So why is Deebo holding him off? Maybe because he wants out, because he can't live on the East Coast? Or it's the third issue that we're hearing. This is what Tom Pelissero mentioned yesterday, among others, including Ian Rappaport, my colleagues from the NFL Media Group. Doesn't want to run the ball as much as he's been running it. He doesn't want to have the contact at the position if he's running it. And it kind of makes sense. As you know, the odometer for running backs in the NFL runs fast, runs awfully fast. And then when you hit that, the mileage hits 30 years old, see you later. Adios. Gone. You're seeing 30-year-old receivers more and more often now. And Deebo wants to be one of them. And if he does play into his 30s, that means a third contract. He's on his first one now. He's going to get his second one shortly. And then you want a third one? That's great. Running backs for third contracts, they don't get paid like Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill.
Nope, they don't.
Or Stephon Diggs.
They don't.
So business decision makes sense right there. Because normally he's a business decision for the defender, right? He's making a business decision right now, potentially, say, I don't want the wear and tear of being a running back. And I'm kind of confused by this because when we had Deebo Samuel on this program, okay, when we had him on this program, it was November 23rd, 2021, a Tuesday after the San Francisco 49ers had just beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay, for their second win in a row. And Deebo had just led the team. He had just led the team in 79 yards rushing. And I asked him that day, about whether he sees people making business decisions and turning down the contact from him. He kind of shined it off and said no. But if they want to just basically throw their bodies at him, and good luck, I'll just run straight past you.
Yeah.
So I asked him about all of that. And fascinatingly enough, the conversation later on turned to his relationship with his head coach, Kyle Shanahan. Because again, if he feels he's being used too much, he certainly didn't sound like he was upset with his head coach who's been using him too much as a running back. I asked him about his relationship with Kyle Shanahan on that Tuesday last November.
Man, Kyle, have a great relationship from when I stepped here until now. We just been building ever since I was a rookie, and I mean every Monday or Tuesday I always stop by his office just to have like casual conversation, and even him and Mike McDaniel as Wes Welker, those are three guys that I stop by every Monday and Tuesday on like our off days just to chop it up with them, just to see, you know what I'm saying, where we headed at this week for his plays, and going there with Wes and see, you know what I'm saying, what he sees on the defensive end that we need to attack as a receiver group.
So have you already had that conversation with him on this Tuesday? Has that already
No, I really just walked in the building and came in here. So after I leave here, I'm going to go in there and chop it up with all the guys.
So what's on the agenda? What do you think's on the agenda?
I have no idea. I'm not going to lie. I don't be having no idea what's on the agenda. Kyle is our offensive guru, so, you know, you never know what to expect. So, I mean, you just got to go in there with an empty mind and just whatever he puts in. I mean, he's been doing a great job with calling plays and getting guys in the right position to make plays. So, I mean, I'll put all my trust in him.
So, what do you like to do if you're given a choice? Run it or catch it and run it? What's your favorite to do?
I'd rather catch it than run it.
Why is that?
Because if I catch it, I got way more space, you know. I mean, it's really not a preference, but I preferably like to catch it and run.
prefers to catch it and run it instead of running it, is what he said. And earlier in the conversation, he pointed out that he was a running back in high school and then converted to wide receiver when he got to South Carolina. So, didn't sound completely at the time like, yeah, I don't want to be doing that anymore. Maybe the reason why he didn't sound that way, though, he's not going to just look. When athletes appear on this program, they're not sworn in like they are giving testimony, right? So, but we always try and go inside numbers and try and make you smarter. And the NFL Network top-notch research staff sent out a Debo packet, if you will, when this news broke yesterday. And this particular item was at the top of the list, and I bring it to you now. In his last 11 games,
wow,
the last 8 regular season games and 3 playoff games that Debo Samuel played for the 49ers last year, 38 catches, 80 rushes. 80 rushes, 38 catches, 3 rushing touchdowns. 3 receiving touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns. The first 33 games of his career, 149 catches, 34 rushes. 34 rushes in his first 33 games of his career.
Yeah, they've reversed it.
And then his last 11 games, 8 regular season games to finish up the regular season and 3 playoff games, 80 rushes. 80.
Wow.
And guess when that 11-game stretch started? 2 days before we spoke to Debo Samuel on that day. When he led the team in rushing yards against Jacksonville. We hang up the phone from Debo, and maybe when he starts going into those meetings with Mike McDaniel and Kyle Shanahan and Wes Welker, he's talking to Wes less about receiving, and he starts seeing more and more touches at the position, running it and running it and running it, and then maybe when it's all said and done after the season, despite all the accolades he is appropriately received for being such a slash nightmare, he sits down and he talks to his agent and he sees the numbers and it's just like, okay, this happens again and again and again. You might not get that 3rd contract. And that's why I believe this is all a business decision. Because Kyle Shanahan's smart enough to know that, sustainable maybe for the next couple years. And maybe, Debo gets the sense that the Niners and the coaching staff do not care about his odometer. They're just going to try and win a championship with him, and that's the end of that. And maybe
we're done with
that's the reason why he wants to get paid and what have you. But that's why I think the Niners can eventually address this problem, this 19 problem, with dollars and cents.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. But when you see see the complete change of that, I mean, they've completely reversed it. They're running him more than they are receiving him. And you see how running backs are getting just beat the hell up, and they just don't have any longevity. It'll be interesting to see how all this works out. We know that the Dallas Cowboys, even though Stephen Jones says that the Dallas Cowboys are open for business, that, of course, they're not going for anything big like this. We can only dream about that. But in the end, it is what it is. With that being said, I'm ready to get out of here.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Cowboys Sports Report.